Get myself right up on out of here. I feel like a disgrace, I'm not really what I appear. I go home to my girl and I make nice seem nice. The fact that she don't know that I just put someone on. I don't like being here. I constantly live in fear. Could be gone at any time. When you live a life of crime, face the music, do the time. I'm trapped again, and fate as always hasn't wrapped again. I always get caught in my life of sin, but I just keep on going back again. You know I'm lost again, but all I wanted was to find a friend. Someone that I can always depend on to help me find my life again. You know I'm trapped again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mayhemtainment Live. I am your host, JD, and that song played by Marcus Fredrickson is called A Friend. Make sure you go check out his music, reverbnation.com/Marcus Fredrickson, and share out your favorite song. He plays us in and out of everything here on Mayhemtainment. Joining me for this episode is the recently missing but now found Professor Bear. Professor, welcome back to Mayhemtainment.
Thank you. They always trying to lock up a bear, but I'm too slippery. I'm too slick to keep locked down for long.
Yeah, and Facebook definitely tried to lock you down and take you out there, something that they are certainly notorious for. For anybody who's watching this episode or who tunes in on the re-show, what happened and why were you, did you end up disappearing from Facebook? Can you tell us what happened?
Well, now, most of this is theory because I don't have the all-around facts, but I was trying to promote for WSN, that's the Wrestling Society Network, just promoting our stuff, and I hit a group that I'm in, and what I'm thinking is they did not want me to be promoting in it. And I got reported, and immediately my account got froze and I disappeared. So then once I noticed it, I tried to get it back, and they said, no, I definitely violated, and I was gone. But the funny thing for me is that they hit me with 120 days, and only thing I was doing was just promoting upcoming stuff for my group. It wasn't like I was selling anything, promoting anything negative, anything harmful, or anything. And having the time to go over their rules, they were saying that the first one they would give a warning. Well, I never got a warning. Then they said that I would just get banned for a day or two, and I automatically got 120 days. And it's like, well, I definitely didn't agree with it and didn't understand why. So I'm like, okay, maybe I can look up their phone number or a major email or something to talk to someone to explain my point of view, and maybe we can get it corrected. Nah, I went through so much stuff to get a no, you suck, we don't like you, bye. And
Yep.
this is what I use. Facebook is what I use to promote my brand, to help get contacts and stuff, which, by the way, I was in the middle of talking to a promoter and I disappeared. So imagine what he's thinking.
Yeah, probably something similar to what I was thinking when you disappeared from the Mayhem chat, because I went to reach out to you earlier this week, and your picture was gone. There was no way to respond, and that only happens when people get removed from Facebook, they delete their Facebook, or they block the page. So I was going through all kinds of scenarios on what could have potentially happened and why you disappeared just from our chat, because I didn't realize at the time that it was from all of Facebook that you disappeared. I only noticed it that you would, I couldn't respond to you anymore in the chat. So when I looked around and then found that you had been taken off Facebook, I was like, okay, well, I don't think it's something personal or something with me. I was like, it looks like, it has to do with him or with Facebook. And Facebook is not, when they take you down, when they take your profile, it's almost impossible to try and get it back. They don't have a good system in place to try and challenge their decisions, which kind of gives them, Facebook, they can remove pretty much anybody they want for any reason at all. You don't even need to violate the rules, because there's no way for you to even know, as you said, you don't know what you did. They didn't tell you this is how you violated them. This is this is how you broke the rules. So, I think that's a big problem with Facebook and other social media platforms, is they don't really have it spelled out, and there's no way to challenge the decision, even when they do make a mistake.
And that's the thing. It's just, honestly, I look at it as an honest mistake. It wasn't like I was just doing things to irritate anyone, because if I'm sitting there in a group and I violate their rules, then kick me out the group. Yeah. But I didn't even get that. So again, this is crazy to me. Yeah. And I've heard so many people talk about being in Facebook jail and stuff. I have never thought
you'd have done that yourself, Professor.
I have never been in Facebook jail until recently. And it's like, wow, now I understand why these people say stuff like that and banned and stuff. It's like, this is crazy. Yeah. And on top of that, I didn't say anything. With everything going on in the world, I did not say anything or promote anything negative, violent, nothing. And it's like, this is crazy.
Yeah. I'll remind me after the show, Professor. I'll tell you about an episode that just got pulled down right in the middle of the episode on Facebook on our sister show. So I'll tell you about that after the podcast. So you mentioned, which I forgot to do, and my apologies on that, Wrestling Society Network. Everybody go check it out. They have an app. It's on Roku, Amazon Amazon and the Fire Stick.
And Apple TV.
And Apple TV. And go check them out. They're building an entire network of wrestling content. And one of my favorite things also, and I think this was huge for them to do, is their what is it? The podcast corner? Is that what it's called? The section of the website?
Yep, it's called that, and that's on our website that we just launched 2 weeks ago. Matter of fact, today.
Yeah, and which was excellent. It's a great site, very easily to navigate. But their podcast corner there, they have a whole bunch of various podcasts listed that aren't theirs. They don't have like an official deal. They're not under the flag or anything. These are just podcasters who they try and help promote with their content. And you can go right to their website and find all of this content right there. Even Mayhem Media is featured on their podcast corner section of their website, which I'm very grateful for. Anything we can do to get Mayhem Media out there is excellent. So how is the Wrestling Society Network going? You said you just launched the website. You got the app that's available on the platforms. So where are you guys at in terms of the company, and what is going to be next for you guys?
Well, we're just like with the with the website, we have some things that will be coming out very soon that I know a lot of people are going to enjoy. We're just trying to improve on that. With the app, we're adding more stuff. We're going to add a bunch of promotions, independent promotions that we're partnering with, that we're adding their content on there. And hopefully people will start following it, enjoying it, and will check them out, not just on the app, but go to their Facebook page, their YouTube page, and just enjoy it. We are really, a lot of people say this, but we trying to stick with it and let people know we are wrestling fans and we want to promote with everybody. We don't care how big, how small. We want to promote wrestling, because the one thing people really just don't understand, how vast of wrestling stuff is out there. And we're just trying to make it a little bit easier for you to go to one place and find so much different things. And again, we want to also help, because wrestling is not just one thing. It's so much different types of wrestling, different kind of content creator. You can listen to someone who is just about independent, talk about independent wrestling, and that's great. Then you got some that just stick to the big ones, the WWE, the AEWs, the Impact, and that's good too. But again, not everybody wants the same thing, so we're giving you a smorgasbord of different things. And again, we hope you enjoy it. We want you to tell your friends. Even tell your friends who don't like wrestling, because everybody got a friend that likes wrestling who may not say nothing.
Yeah.
Tell them, let them know, so they won't feel like they're the only ones out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what you're doing is great for the indies, for the independent promotions, because I think that's one thing that's been lacking, and that's one thing that I've tried to do with Mayhem Media. Actually, is I've started reaching out to some of the local promotions here in Pennsylvania to see if there's anything we can do to help get them on, and whatever. We're not following your business model because we're not strictly wrestling. Mayhem Media is not strictly wrestling. We are all forms of entertainment, which is why I'm grateful that you feature us on your website. I think that gives Mayhem Media its own little niche there, because if you guys have so much wrestling content, but then you guys have, I don't know if you have other ones or not, but at least with Mayhem Media, you can come to Mayhem Media and not only get wrestling content. There's lots of other entertainment content that we talk about, all kinds of things, TV show, movies, and all that. But I think I like what you're doing, because the independence, that's really where they're lacking today, despite all the tribalism in wrestling today. And it's unbelievably horrific, the tribalism in today's wrestling. With all the wrestling we have, there shouldn't be so much tribalism. Enjoy what you enjoy. Let the other person enjoy what they enjoy, and just enjoy wrestling. It doesn't have to be so filled with so much hate and so much, well, this person, this company is going to fail and that company is going to fail. Nobody should want any wrestling companies to fail. Okay. Because last time we ended up with just WWE. I don't think there's anybody out there that can deny the product did suffer for a bit when it was just the WWE. Competition breeds better quality programming. So
yes, sir.
And I think that's one thing, even with this wrestling as good as it is today, with AEW, with WWE, with TNA. I mean, it's been since the 90s the last time we had three major wrestling organizations available the way they are today. And I think that's what needs to happen. It needs to filter down now. The indies need to see a shift in how their wrestling is done. Not the way it's done. I'm sorry, I chose the wrong words there, but in the way they market themselves, in the way that independent promotions try and get people in the seats. That it's changing. An independent promotion, if you want it to be a real success, you can't just put on a show and just put on shows. You need to get that product out there. It needs to be on YouTube. It needs to be on Rumble. You need to have it on Facebook. And I don't understand why more independent promotions aren't putting together a team or trying to work that out logistically to get their programming available to people.
Well, one thing is Money drives everything. So, you just don't want to put garbage on out there. You want to have the best quality that you can. And quality costs, you got to have good lighting. You got to have good mics. You got to have people, like you said, people who are going to promote you and put you in the position where you can succeed. You want your wrestlers who may not be comfortable doing podcasts. Well, you want to give them that opportunity to learn and grow. So that's one thing that, again, we try to do. And we won't, and it's kind of funny to say this because as a wrestling fan, I love to see new people, new creations and stuff. And we want to give opportunities. Of course, are we in it to make money? Yeah. Are we making money now? No. No. We hadn't made, I tell you, with everything we have going on, we have not made one dime. And I'm okay with that.
Because you're building something. It's not time for you guys to start to, you know what I mean? You guys haven't reached the point whether for whatever reason you're not doing sponsorships, and it's definitely not time. And I would agree with you guys on this. It's definitely not time to start charging for the app or anything like that. So when you're building something like what you're building or like what I'm building, when you're building in the media department, you really do have to be careful about how you get that finance. Like where do you start becoming profitable? Where do you start making money? You do have to be careful with that.
Yeah. And then everything is self-driven. So if it fails or succeed, it's on us. So that means we have to put in the work. The one thing I can promise you, and no disrespect to anybody else running a business, doing anything, but I have not seen anyone work as hard as Brady Owens. That guy, on top of what he does in his personal life, he's always trying to do more for WSN. And one day he gave me a big shout out and talked about people don't see how much I do behind the scenes. I'm okay with that. It doesn't matter because I enjoy it. I love it.
But it's important. But I agree with your partner actually on that one, because the people who make things happen behind the scenes are just as instrumental, if not more so, than the people who are out in front, leading it, whether they're on camera or they're making the business decisions or whatever. The people in the background, my vice president, Mizpah, he does a lot of stuff. You don't see him on the camera very much. And he doesn't do a lot of stuff necessarily day to day, but he does a lot of stuff to help me advance the business as a business, not the day-to-day stuff, not the shows necessarily, but on the business side, and helping me advance that side of the ball. And that's just as important as everything we do on camera, if not more so. So I think I agree with your partner giving you a big shout out like that. Anybody who's doing stuff behind the scenes deserves to get a shout out, because they're doing just as much, if not more work than the people who are out in front.
Well, and that's why, for me, that's why I don't really, I won't say I don't care, but I'm okay with, because for most people, I'm the face of WSN. They don't know anything different, but I want them to know, oh no, let's be clear. Professor Barry is just a cog in the system. We have a great team, a great family that produce and does so much. I just happen to be the guy who got tasked with being the face for now. And it's funny because when we first started and we were going to start promoting, the first thing I said, man, I do not want to be the face of the company. I don't want everybody thinking Professor Barry is the man. And it happened. But on that, you've never heard me say that it's my idea. It's this, I'm this, I'm this. No, I always try to give a shout out to the team, and especially Brady, because we both feel like we gave each other lifelines in this, and he's great. The team's great. Donovan, our new co-president, he's tremendous. Like I said, we have so many different people that just
And that's
deserve their flowers.
yeah, that's key though. When you're starting something like that, if you can find a group of people who have the same goal in mind and who can work together, that does make the job and building it easier and more fun. I think also, you're building
Yeah.
it with other people. So I mean, I can relate, a little bit to that. We're you guys are way ahead. Like in the terms of starting a business, you guys are further out than where Mayhem is at the moment. But that's the thing about starting a small business. You got to start somewhere. Everybody's starting small. Everybody starts with one person or two people or a small group of people, and then they make it happen. That everybody starts that in that place.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to make it successful is to keep grinding it out day in and day out. And that's what a lot of people don't see too. They think that they make a show and it's going to be, viewed by millions of people. And tomorrow they're stars. That's everybody and their brother has a podcast or a channel or media now. Everybody is a content producer. You're not just competing against other content producers. You're literally competing against everybody. So if you want it to be real, you have to grind it out. It's going to take work now. You're not just going to make something and then tomorrow you're going to be a success. That day doesn't really happen as much anymore. Yeah, things can still go viral, but even that, once the viral part of it ends, the main popularity dies down. So it's the grind. It's the day to day. That's where the accomplishments and the success are found.
Oh yeah. As I always like to say, it's the quality versus more than the quantity. And no matter what, and you have to go in with the mindset that stuff ain't gonna work. That you can throw 1,000 things against the wall. You better be prepared that 2 to 3 will stick and work. And when you fail, dust yourself off and keep going.
Yeah.
I mean, again, this is a business. Most business do not make it. Most small business. I crapped out on a business that I tried by myself. It didn't go anywhere. I was depressed for a couple of weeks. Then I shook that crap off and got another lifeline and brought what I thought were positives in my business and talk about the negatives so we won't have to go there. We still had different failures. We've had different things, but we succeed and keep moving.
Yeah, you have to keep moving even when you fail. Like you said, you got to dust yourself off and, get back out there and go fail again. That's the way it's going to be. If you're afraid of failure, then you're not going to make it. Mayhem Media has certainly faced its share of challenges and stuff over the last 2 years, and especially this year. We started growing it, making it a real company, not just a single podcast or a single show. And, then we had some people join us and then we had some people leave and we still have some people that, we're still trying to get the core of the team built. But, we got a couple of good people who I think want to make this work and want something more than they have right now. And that's one thing I've noticed. Finding somebody who wants more than what they have now, but still being humble with what they have. That's a really hard balance. And I think those are the best types of people that you can work with. Someone who's humble and is grateful for what they have, because you should always be grateful for what you have. You know what I mean? It can always get worse. So if you got something, be grateful for it. But that doesn't mean that you still can't try or want more. So I think it's the people who are humble in what they have, but want more than they currently have, who are some of the best and hardest and most committed workers.
And one of the things that I look at too is knowing when to step back, because sometimes you have to take a step back to move 2-3 paces forward. And some people have that attitude, oh, my brand's bigger than yours and this, that. Well, okay, then have at it. Great to meet you. No hard feelings. And it's just sometimes you have to see a bigger picture and be willing to, and some things are gambles. You have to be willing to gamble. And also, like you said, be humble. It there's no sense of thinking that you the end all be all. and it's and I can say in the little time that I've been in this business and dealt with as many people I have, most of them are just really, really very nice people. Even something goes wrong, like I've been scheduled for podcasts and I got ghosted. It pissed me off to no ends. Then I thought, you know what? Okay, maybe it was a reason. No biggie.
I completely agree with you. That's exactly how I try and approach it. Like I might be mad for a second, but I always try and, calm down and think, well, maybe this happened or maybe something happened. You don't know why somebody else did something. So until you have the motivation, don't judge others. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't assume things. You know what I mean? Be professional. Find out what happened. If you were slighted, then handle it as you want after that. But if you don't know that everything was a slight, even this week's a perfect example, Professor. You just completely disappeared. And like I said, the first thought that went through my mind, we were talking before the show, that I was like, the first thing that went through my mind was, oh my goodness, what did I say or do that I offended Professor Bear that he blocked the page? Because that's what my initial thought was. Oh my goodness, he blocked the page. What did I do? And then, of course, after some investigation, I found out, no, you didn't block the page. Your whole Facebook was gone. So, that's the thing. Don't jump to conclusions. Or even if you do, try, shake that off and then figure out what's going on. Don't hold it against somebody because you don't know what happened.
Exactly. And you don't know what people are going through in their personal lives either. So, again, I'm human. We all human. And my whole thing is I'm no better than anyone else. So if they choose to go one way, okay, that's fine. Just handle it and move on. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like I said, we picked up some people from Mayhem and then things weren't working out. They went back their own way and stuff, which is fine. That's what Mayhem to do. Well, that's where we're at right now. Mayhem. We're trying to find people who want to come in and start building something that's bigger and better than what we all have right now. That's kind of where we're at. We're at the very beginning stage. We're building our own website too for different reasons, though. We're not building the website to like you have in a whole with all the wrestling content. Our content will be available on our website, but we're doing it because Mayhem, we want to get credentialed as press. So for that, we need a website, a centralized location for all of our content, and we also need to have written material. Believe it or not, written content, written articles is almost more of a requirement than the podcast is to get credentialed. So that's why we're building a website so that we can get credentialed, not necessarily to build an entire network like you guys are over at WSN. But yeah, like I said, we're just at the beginning of that. Like we're just, we're soft launching here in about 2 weeks ourselves, but our content won't be on there yet. It'll just be the website with our hosts and the information about us so far. We're very beginning stage. So, and don't compete against anybody else. That's the other advice that I would give. Don't compete. Like, who cares if this person has more viewers than you do? Who cares if this person has more views than you do? Don't try and compete with other people. Just worry about advancing your own self and improving your own product. Because also with marketing out there on Facebook, the amount of people who you don't think are paying for Facebook ads, I guarantee you they're paying for Facebook ads. Okay. So if you see somebody who's got even 1,000 or a few hundred or even a few tens of thousands of followers, they may have paid for many of those followers. Do not be discouraged by that. Okay. Do not be discouraged by that. because the people that you'll get, even if you got 100 person compared to someone else who's got 1,000, you have 100 real people who found your page or who found your content and follow it because they like you. They're going to be more active on your page than the 1,000 people who got purchased by the ads. So it's not always about numbers and followers and views and likes. You got to look at your own content and just keep improving yourself.
Exactly. Have quality. Quality is, again, I can't say it enough. Quality is key, because anybody can mock and do what the next person is doing, but what are you doing to make yourself different and reliable and containing entertainment? So it's just to make sure before you start anything, sit down and write it out of what you truly want, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what you want, nobody else is going to support it, ain't going to figure it out. You have to have a plan. Start with a plan.
Yep. Plans are so very important. Yes, absolutely. When I first started in 2020, our sister show, the Boiling Point podcast, completely separate brand from Mayhem Media. But, when I started that, I tried to cover entertainment and politics, and people were like, no, this isn't working. JD, you gotta get off this. It's not working. And I'm like, and I was arrogant. I was like, no, yes, it is. Joe Rogan can do it. I can do it because, I'm just like Joe Rogan. So, but no, I'm not. And, I don't have the guest list that he has. I don't have the fans that he has. I don't have the credibility that he has. So no, you can't just go out there and be Joe Rogan. You definitely need a plan. You need to know what you're making. You need to know how you want to get better. And you have an idea of where you want it to be is what is, helps you get there. So definitely having a plan of where you, at least of what you want it to be at the beginning and what you want it to be later on, is definitely a must before you start something. And don't be discouraged by failure and someone else succeeding quicker than you or better than you, or someone else getting opportunities that you don't, because that will drive you into the grounds. That will not help you.
Yeah, definitely. Because you worry about the next person instead of worrying about your own. I mean,
yeah.
Stop worrying about what the next man is doing.
Yeah, just focus on yourself and keep advancing your own cause. So, all right. Well, yes, I guess that's pretty much where. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about? I kind of found a blank spot in my questionnaire there. We kind of just stuff.
I think a good point is to talk about what's been going on with one of the can be labeled as the match of the year with MJF and Will Ospreay.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see that yet. I did see that MJF won the international championship. Before we start talking about the match, because I didn't get to see the match, but I'll let you talk about it. I have no doubt that it was an unbelievable match between those two guys. MJF, I'm a huge MJF fan. I like Darby Allin, but MJF might be my favorite wrestler right now currently, because I like his mic skills. I like him in the ring. I think he is one of the best all-around wrestlers we've seen in some time. So I'm a huge fan of MJF. And Will Ospreay. And what are your thoughts on MJF being a world champion and now being an international champion? I always want to ask people who are world champions. Now, the WWF did this for many years, where former world champions were intercontinental champions, and over the years, the Intercontinental belt kind of got that prestige where you could go back and forth. It didn't matter. I always kind of view it as someone taking a lesser title. Once you've been world champion, do you take a lesser title? What are your thoughts on that? And I'm talking strictly from a fan's perspective, not from inside the business or anything like that, just from a fan's perspective.
From a fan's perspective, I definitely love it because it shows that titles mean something. Just because you're a world champion doesn't mean you can't go to a lower title and grind your way back to the world title. It adds prestige to that title. It makes people like, hey, he was a world champion. Now he's an international champion. Man, you know how much it will boost my career to say I beat him for the international title and he was a former world champion. Man, I love it because it makes all the titles mean something.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, especially now, they do not put enough focus on the mid-card titles. I mean, look at what WWE did to the United States title.
Oh,
I
I don't
don't
want to
talk about.
Do we have to? Do we have to, Professor?
Yeah, because look at it. You had great champions, like the first U.S. champion recognized is Harley Race. Harley Race name is synonymous with world champion, but he was the first United States champion. Ric Flair, here's a fact: Ric Flair has the most United States championship title wins.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes, a lot of people don't, because off the bat, when you hear Rick, you think world title.
Yeah.
But Rick had to build himself up to being a world champion. And he won the U.S. title 7 different times.
I did not know that. I will definitely have to include that in my Mount Rushmore that I'm going to be doing here next week.
And then, I'm sorry. And
no, please.
And then you look at what a title can do for people, because not everybody can handle being the champion. So what would you do? You give them a mid-card title to help them learn how to be a champion. Look, the television championship in NWA/WCW.
Very prestigious, yeah.
There
were times of it that were very prestigious.
Right. And look at the champions that first won that title to help them build. Stone Cold Steve Austin was a former world television champion. Sting, his first major title
was the NWA TV championship. Yeah,
exactly. Rick Steiner. It's so many people. Scott Steiner, and on and on.
One of my favorites, Steven Regal.
Oh man, Steven ranks up there. The only person I rank above Steven Regal with that television title is Arn Anderson.
Oh man, that's so great. See, this is why I like talking to you, Professor, because we are on the same page. Because that's exactly the only person I would put higher than that in terms of the greatest TV champion would also be AA Arn Anderson. Absolutely.
And Arn should have had at least one world title reign. He should have had one. But we could do a whole story of who should have had a world title reign. But again, going back to the titles, especially back in the days, this is how they built up stars, whereas with the local and the lower titles, when you got to the world title, you are expected to be the face of that company. You are carrying the brand. You are the one that are help putting butts in seats. So you have to have the right energy, the right thought process, the right work ethic to carry it. Going back to MJF he's a throwback by far.
Oh yeah.
As much as I don't care for CM Punk, I will not take away the credit he deserves for him and MJF. He helped give MJF the rub that he did not need, but it helps solidify.
Yeah,
Max.
I'm not a CM Punk fan either, but I will give him his dues. He's a draw. People like him, and he can do some stuff in the ring. There is no denying that. I'm still not a fan, but I do acknowledge his athleticism and what he can do in the wrestling world.
And he just gave credibility to one of the best workers right now.
Yeah.
And Max can do it. How many wrestlers right now can do it all like Max? It's just
no, there's not many.
And that's, again, they say that the person makes the title instead of the title making the person. Well, Max just elevated that title even more. And mind you, Will freaking Ospreay was the champion, and he's taking it to the next level. So that just goes to prove how valuable a title can be, and you want that title to be good. Like now, the U.S. champion, most people can't even name the U.S. champion.
No, I can't either. And I think the international championship is something that needs credibility in AEW. I think the history of that title has caused it some problems. And I almost have viewed the TNT title as the secondary title in AEW, not the international title, because the TNT title has, I think, a little bit more credibility. But it's nice to see the international title getting some credibility there. I just, they went from the All Atlantic title. It was called something else, and then they decided to change it, and then they changed it to something that's so close to Intercontinental. I just didn't get that either. I don't get the decision to name it the international title.
Well, and that goes to me, it goes to Tony Khan being the fan he is. And a lot of people don't realize too, Triple H is this. They're historians of the business. And a lot of things they're trying to bring back is because of the way they grew up and what they love about the business. And honestly, I think I would, and a lot of people talk bad about Tony and this, that, and the other, but hell, I would probably be similar to him because of how much of a fan I am. I could, I'm sitting here like, oh, well, I could do this. I could book. I could do this. But honestly, I'm a mark out. I mean, I've been lucky enough to meet so many wrestlers, and I try to be as professional with them as they are to me. I try to be, because I understand the business, I try not to do certain things. It's like, man, I know you're tired. You're seeing fans, and here comes another fan. And I'm like, oh, blah, 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 blah. And the only thing you want to do is go get you something to eat so you can go and rest. So I try to be mindful of that. And I respect the business, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I show love. I show respect. It is so many promoters that I've talked to behind the scenes, and they're like, wow, like, man, I appreciate it. You don't have to do that. I'm like, yes, I do. I feel I do. Is because you're a part of the reason why when I have a bad day, I can drift off because wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose y'all. I want this to go beyond my lifetime, beyond my kids' lifetime, beyond my grandkids, great grandkids. I want it and want people to get the same enjoyment I get out of it. So I respect it, and I'm trying to help. And it's crazy. I say it all the time, and I think it's crazy, but it's the God honest truth. I want to elevate the business, and I have a means to do it, and I'm going to put all into doing it.
Yeah, I think you're definitely doing that. I think your app is going to be something unique. And I think that's, no offense, I think your app is actually going to be part of that shift that the indie promotions need to get on YouTube, like to get access, like to get viewers, to get eyes on their product. And I think that's where the independent promotions are lacking or failing, if you want to use that word at the moment, is that they really need to have their stuff put on TV. And I know you were talking about quality over quantity. And I am a believer of that. If your content's not quality, then people aren't going to watch it. But isn't that a balance though? Quality over quantity, but isn't at some point, even if you're doing an independent promotion, don't you need to, even if it's not going to be how you presented, how you wanted, or filmed how you wanted, don't you need to get your product out there to people?
I think you do, but there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about like seeing a match that's clearly a bad match and then still posting it just to have content. But there is, you know, if you take too much time and try and make everything perfect, then you won't get the content out when you need it to. There is quality over quantity, certainly, but don't over obsess about the quality.
Yes. I agree with you there. But like I can tell you, I've seen some promotions that they have no matches, but they have a podcast. And their podcast has been tremendous. I really enjoyed it. And it's given me, now I want to see it now. They've intrigued me. And they've given me teasers. And I've seen why they've been doing it to slowly help build up their content to put it out. And they, like, there's some I've seen that has no commentary. And it's like, man, if y'all had the commentary, I think y'all ready. And it's like, So I see
it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch wrestling without commentary.
Yeah, well, somewhat. It just depends on the type. I think it depends on the type of fan you are, because a lot of times I can sit back and give my own commentary.
Yeah, I mean,
because I'm silly like that. I mean, I can mute the TV and just start going off on some tangent.
I do it when I have guests. I do it when I have guests over. I do the same thing when I'm watching football and boxing, wrestling, and football. It doesn't matter if there's people over. I'm probably going to be commentating in some kind of a fashion. So exactly. I can understand that. Yeah.
And like I said, I'm far. I don't want people to think I'm the end all be all, because Lord knows I'm not. And maybe what I see, other people don't see, and maybe they have a better point than me. It's just given what I see and what I look for.
Yeah.
And it again, it's fun. And plus, I love to see the young wrestlers and think, man, 5 years, where is that guy going to be? Because I've seen people, I'm like, oh yeah, they are going to be something. They are on the verge of being something.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. The same thing about MJF. MJF is going to be, he's going to be, you know, the guy. He's. I mean, not like Rick. I don't want to use a Ric Flair. I don't like comparing new people to old people. I don't like doing that, and I've tried very hard to stop doing it. Okay, MJF is the MJF. He's not the new Ric Flair or the next Ric Flair or the next Triple H. He's the MJF. He's not the next anything. He's his own person. But I kind of see him in a little bit of kind of a Ric Flair-esque because of the way he's got the mic skills, he's got the wrestling skills. I think MJF is going to be around and at the top of wrestling for the next 30 years. I think we have at least 30 more years of MJF. So of course, injuries and stuff, but assuming he stays healthy, I think he'll be the next, like we'll watch him, and I think he'll be entertaining well into his 50s.
Oh yeah. And see that, and just like MJF, I saw MJF before AEW even existed. I used to watch Major League Wrestling, and he was on there. And I used to think, you are an ass, but there's something entertaining about you. Brian Pillman Jr. was on there. Davey Boy Smith, they were running as the New Hart Foundation with Teddy Hart. And it's like, man, you got something. Like, I was shocked that Brian Pillman, I'm like, why hadn't anybody got Brian Pillman Jr. and did something with him?
Yeah.
And like I said, there's so many different indie promotions I've seen and seen people before they really became big.
That's what I'm saying. They need to get their content out there to people. They have stars. There are independent people that have stars. Look at the female who just got picked up by, oh man, it wasn't Ring of Honor, was it? Was it TNA? Billy Starks.
Oh, Starks, yeah.
Yeah, she is awesome. Like I saw her in independent stuff before she got on there too. And when she got the deal, I was like, oh my goodness, that is so amazing because she is going to be so great for that company. Man, she's so young. I mean, she's young, and I know she's a little green, you know, just kind of like Julia Hart, but
she had more.
She has so much potential,
and she had more experience than Julia Hart because she was wrestling. That's age 16.
Yeah, she is so good, Billy Starks. Like when she actually got the big, I was like, man, and I saw her as an independent wrestler too, and I saw some of her stuff, and that's what I'm saying. Some of these independent companies have stars. If they could get them in front of people, they could really start attracting some attention.
Well, and then the big thing is too with independents is they have stars, but they ain't gonna keep them because they can only pay them so much. Just like Billy Stark, for example, man, she was turning up on the, like I had heard about her before I saw her in AEW doing some matches, and then they signed her to Ring of Honor. I was like, wow, she's impressive. And she's still going to high school. And on top of that, carried I don't understand how you can get more than a 4.0. She was rocking a 4.25 when she graduated. How in the world?
I don't know.
And then the stuff she's doing with Athena in Ring of Honor is,
oh man, I know. Yeah.
It's like that's the frustrating part about AEW, that they cannot get a real deal for Ring of Honor to produce their own stuff because
that's my only. You were talking about Tony Khan earlier, and my only complaint with Tony Khan. I have two complaints with Tony Khan. One is I think he needs to get out of the day-to-day and into the front office, and start focusing on company things to grow his company, like TV deals, for example, and his storytelling. I wish he would tell a little bit more longer stories. I know people are saying, well, that's what WWE does. AEW puts on banger matches. WWE puts on long storytelling. WCW used to give us some banger matches and some storytelling. AEW can do the same thing. Not every match has to be involved in this elaborate 6-month storyline, but there should be at least one or two things that are long-term, in my opinion, that should have, more drawn out storylines. So those are my only complaints with Tony Khan. Is I wish he had a little bit more of a longer storytelling, just with some things. Just give us one or two storylines that are longer term storytelling. And I wish he would get in the front office and get us a TV deal. He's got two companies. If there isn't somebody out there wanting to put his content on their streaming channel, why isn't he making his own?
True. And see, and two things with that too. Tony is, a lot of people give Tony crap about a lot of different things, but they weren't saying that before when Tony was giving long storyline driven stuff. A lot of it is when he does long term, people get hurt, because look at MJF and Cole.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he has had a run.
And then look at it's been some where they had to break off and go in different directions, and people get mad about that. But you get hurt or someone gets hurt, you got to pivot. You got to.
Yeah.
So, and the storytelling, I'm like, y'all just don't give him enough credit. Again, I agree that one of the things that I don't like is all the different titles. I'm okay with having a bunch of titles, but make them worth something and separate them. You cannot continuously have Ring of Honor champions on AEW and rarely have them on the wrestling that they represent. Like, I love Mark Briscoe. I'm so glad he got the world title. But come on, get him a storyline in Ring of Honor. But the one thing I will say, and the rumor is floating around, that he's finally going to separate it. And I think the reason why is because he wanted a good deal for Ring of Honor. Because, yeah, we can throw a streaming service and all that, but he wanted something more concrete and something. So I'm willing to give Tony a pass until he shows me different.
Just me too. Yeah, I'm definitely not like running them over the coals or anything. These are just things that I'd like to, that I'd like to see. And I'm sorry, but a streaming service we're beyond people watching live content. Sports is the only thing that's left that people are going to watch live. And even some of them record football games or baseball games and rewatch it later because they can't watch it live. You have to, in today's day and age, your content has to be available. It has to be available for people who can't sit and watch it week to week, and for people who work and who have lives. They watch it when they have time. And that's my biggest complaint right now is the accessibility of AEW and Ring of Honor and being able to view their content. Now, I know Ring of Honor has their own premium service, so you can like sign up and see stuff, but you even that, like, it has to be available somewhere. I'm sorry, at this point, especially with the WWE and the network they have, TNA needs the same thing. You need to be able to go and watch the matches or the cards when you have time. Too many people are just busy at too many different times. Now, I think that's hurting AEW. I think they have a lot more fans out there that they're not getting because people don't have time to sit and watch their content when it's live. And TNT and TBS is not available anywhere except Sling that I found. And Sling is so outrageously priced.
Well, now I know I have YouTube and it's on there. Most places I've seen has TBS and TNT, but the thing is too, I was gonna say this, that it's a balance to everything. Like you mentioned TNA, they could be so much further if they had a national television deal, a good one. The reason why they've been dropped because they've gone to not even B networks, C's and D networks that nobody heard of, that only a fraction of the country has it. So they need a good deal. Their streaming service, well, they teaming up with WWE to make their streaming service better. Okay, and
yeah, how about that? That was something. Seeing TNA and WWE kind of working together now, I think that hurts AEW because I think that was the in that AEW had, being able to work with other companies. Now with Triple H in charge, it's the doors open more.
Triple H is a businessman.
Yes, he is,
and he understands that we can be the top business and still work with people. It only helps us. We're going to end up, and let's be truthful, they're going to end up taking some of their fans of other companies because it's the WWE. But they're smart enough to also realize, okay, we're working with TNA. We need to make sure they are strong too. You got to give back. And that was the problem with TNA and AEW. AEW didn't give TNA anything back. It just felt like they took.
Just the promotion. Yeah, I mean, just like them being on their air. Yeah.
And
they could have been a little bit more forthcoming there with TNA and stuff, for certainly. But I mean, again, Tony Khan, though, he's got Ring of Honor, he's got AEW. I think and I don't know the internal workings of the companies or anything like that. It just seems like Tony Khan has so much on his plate. It seems like he needs a team. He needs more people so that he can hand out some of this stuff to do. Maybe that's just the way it appears from the outside.
What that goes back to what we were talking about in the beginning. When you do something, you can't do it on your own. You have to have a team that you trust. And when you think you can do it all, you're going to burn yourself out. And there's been times you looked at AEW and you're like, what the hell? What is Tony thinking? And he doesn't have that person to grab. Hey, we ain't doing that. Bring it back, boss. Bring it back.
Yeah, he needs a team. He's got good people on his roster and stuff. Good people that could, even wrestlers that could move into an office role then at some point and, help the company that way. He's got the right people. I think he just needs to put them in the right places.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We've been talking. I didn't even realize the last 30 minutes went by pretty quickly. So last time I looked at the clock, we were at 36 minutes and now we're at an hour and 4 minutes. So we've definitely got some content in. On our season finale, what that means for everybody who wants to know what it means for the Mayhemtainment season finale. It's just that we're not going to have any more. I won't have any more Mayhemtainment episodes until likely September. August is coming. The Olympics are going to be on. I will be doing an Olympic special. Look for us to do lots of content during the Olympics, and of course, Into the Barricade is going to air every other Saturday night, ongoing. So even though I'm going to be taking a little break for a couple of weeks before and after the Olympics, Mayhem Media is still firing on all cylinders. We still have content that we're making. We're still going to be releasing content even during my little break. But August is usually when I take some much needed vacation time and a break from the day-to-day grind so that I can recharge my batteries. It's also been 2 years since I've been able to take a vacation because last August I moved. So I didn't get my vacation. So this August, before the Olympics, between now and the Olympics, I will likely be taking some time away. And then after the Olympics, I'll be taking some time away for at least a week or two after that to recharge my batteries so that I can rest. But in September, look for us again. We also, Crander Q, shout out to Friends of the Squared Circle. We're working on a football series. If you're a football fan and you have a favorite team, reach out to us on Mayhem or reach out to Crander Q at Friends of the Squared Circle so that we can sign you up for a team. What we're going to do is it's going to be about 5 or 10 minute clips of each of you talking about your favorite team, your favorite players, memorable moments, that type of thing. So yes, Professor Bear, I will be talking to you right after we get off the air about if you wanted to join us. But yes, if you have a favorite team, reach out to us, send us a message because we're looking for people. We want to do all 32 teams. So please reach out to us if you have a favorite football team so that we can get you signed up and so we can get all 32 teams made. We'll be working on that. We want to release it during the football season, but it really depends on how many people we get, how many teams we can cover, and how quickly we can do all that. So it will be sometime this football season that we'll be releasing it. We just don't know exactly when yet. So Mayhem Media's got lots of things going on. We got lots of content. We got lots of plans for the future. So stay tuned to us for all of your entertainment, not just wrestling, for all of your entertainment, TV, movies, everything. Come to Mayhem Media and then go check out the Wrestling Society Network. Your website is it just WSN.com?
No, it is the WrestlingSociety.com.
WrestlingSociety.com. So go check them out, their website. And of course, their app is available on Roku, on Amazon, on Apple TV.
Yes, sir.
So make sure you get their app or check them out on their website. Look at some of their content. You can also go check. They have a Facebook group page. It's a public group page, so I don't think you need to be invited. You can just join and then they accept you. So go find it. That is the WSN or Wrestling Society Network on Facebook. It's a great group page. So go join that as well. Am I forgetting anything, Professor Bear?
No, sir. You have covered it lovely like you always do.
Thank you very much. The one last thing I need to let everybody know is our own storefronts, Mayhem Media storefront, bonfire.com/store/Mayhem Media storefront. That is the name of our brand new storefront where you can get all of our Mayhem Media gear. We got Into the Barricade gear. We have exclusive Connor Clarkson gear, and we'll have some exclusive Saul Good gear coming up in the coming weeks as well. So please check out our storefront and pick something up, support the brand, or even if you can't, just share it out. That's bonfire.com/store/Mayhem Media Storefront. For Professor Bear, I am your host, JD. Professor Bear, if you want to stay until after the credits, we can chat a little longer after we're cleared, and I will chat with you then. Everybody else, I will see you for the Olympics in a couple of weeks. Until then, that's the end.